What's up, Quad? Kingston, let's go.
Hello and welcome back to Elite Level Sport Marketing. What I wanted to do for this Monday Marketing Mayhem series was build on the video that I released previously. And what I talked about was 5 tips for taking your program to the next level on Facebook. And if you've been following the blog, one of the things that you have noticed is that I started this Marketing Mayhem series with a couple different topics. And the first topic that I touched on was the importance of values. And I think, from a marketing standpoint, it's so important that you start with a vision in mind. You think about what it is you want your program to encompass. And it's very important because as you start to market, you want to make sure that you're sending the right type of messages, and that's how you build your brand. The second release that I had was on administrators, being, the heck with tradition, marketing to your top segment. And that segment being administrators. It's so important that coaches understand that, potentially even at the high school level, but in particular at the college level, understanding that there's nobody more important that they position their product for than administrators. And when you think about it within that context, as them being a primary segment for you, you start to realize that there's things that you have to focus on besides winning on the mat. Winning on the mat should always be a primary emphasis, but there's others that should have an equal amount of focus as well. And, we talked about academics, conduct, some of these brand areas that athletic departments really value. And so what I wanted to do was just, before we go more in depth on that in future entries, was to focus on this technological aspect because it's something that coaches can start to do right now to build your program. So you've taken those 5 steps and you went out and you've created some innovative videos. You have, you're starting to put together a nice schedule. And one thing that I think coaches need to do, and this is the lesson for the day, is I think coaches need to focus on having an alumni spotlight. And again, coming up with a theme name for that. But coming up with an alumni spotlight where you start to, honor some of the individuals who are your alumni. And there's a few different levels that you could do this at. Number one is you go out and you try to find, the right individual, which I'll talk about some criteria in just a second. But you find that individual, and the first thing you do, which some programs already do, is they send out a newsletter and they have an alumni spotlight where they highlight and honor one of their former wrestlers, former student athletes. That would be a base level, and I think that would be very, very effective, not only from a fundraising standpoint, but building interest in your program as well. So that would be number one. Number 2 thing that I would say, kind of a second level, would be taking this to your social network sites. And the reason I say this is that it becomes a little bit more interactive, more personal, in that what you're doing is you're now honoring a person where there's a lot of interactivity. And so when you're able to do that effectively, and get more people involved, it can be something that can be very effective. And then the third level would be not only doing the first 2, but then combining what I've talked about before, coming up with videos where maybe the coach comes on and they give a 2-minute blurb about this individual. They honor them. They say it's a pleasure to have this person as a part of the program, and you start to take it to that next level to where you really make this alumni spotlight something that's important. And I do think that coaches need to recognize that it's important to start to do the little things like this to where you build support for your program. And the last thing that I want to say, which is maybe more important than anything that I've mentioned in this alumni spotlight, is when you go out and look for people, be very intentional about the type of people you're going out after. It's great if you go out and you find people who are not only wrestling at the top level, but you find people who are coaches. But the one thing I would really encourage coaches to do is go out and find people from a wide range of professions. If you've got doctors, you've got lawyers, if you've got any number of jobs, ones that are very respectable, find those individuals and really highlight that part, because what that's saying is that you're out, your program is turning out quality individuals who are going out and making a difference. And I think that's an important element. The better job you do of this, you build your program the right way. And so just want to encourage coaches to do that. I'm going to continue to come out with tips like this. And so obviously this week's lesson is on using technology, and so the thing that I hope coaches are going to go out and do right now is really think about this alumni spotlight and just get that right. So hopefully you have a great week. Let's take these things one day at a time and make sure that we're growing wrestling. Thanks. Take care.